Thank you. Good morning, Belvidere. Mayor Mike here. I'm pleased to announce that I have the privilege of having Deputy Chief Patrick Gardner with me this morning, and he'll be addressing some of the challenges that the COVID-19 has provided the Belvidere Police Department and our community with, and some solutions that are in progress. Deputy Chief, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor Mike. As Mayor Mike said, my name is Patrick Gardner. I'm a Deputy Chief with the Belvidere Police Department, and I'm in charge of basically most things operational. So patrol officers, K-9 teams, our impact unit, which used to be called our gang unit, and other varieties of enforcement activities as well. A little bit of history about the working reputation of the Belvidere Police Department and the service that we provide to our community, Mr. Mayor, is that we pride ourselves in having a very good working relationship with the public, as well as having a high level of proactivity when it comes to our the criminal element within our community, as well as the criminal element that passes through our community. And we, pride ourselves with the service that we provide, providing a safe working and living environment to people in Belvidere, as well as those that pass through Belvidere. And we have a high level of proactivity. When the coronavirus came upon our area here back in January, February, that did make some changes as far as how we operate. And just like every other business, we had to analyze our strategies, our tactics, and make some modifications to do some significant risk modification risk mitigation to both our officers, our personnel, as well as to the public as we're dealing with them. Unfortunately, we just don't have the type of business where we can shut down and wait until things open up. We've got to maintain our essential service and our high level of productivity and service to our community as well. But that did have an effect where we had to change our level of activity per se for risk mitigation purposes. As a result of that risk mitigation, we did see some increase in some different activities, including our retail thefts. While I can't say that we necessarily had more retail thefts than normal, what we did see is we saw an increase in the brazen retail thefts. And what I mean by that, Mr. Mayor, is we had numerous cases where people were walking out of stores with anywhere from $1,200 to $1,900 worth of merchandise in a shopping cart directly past the last point of sale, directly past employees, as if they were not going to be caught, they were not going to be apprehended, then the police were not going to do something, and they realized that was not the case, that we were still on top of it and took the necessary action. But we definitely saw an uptick in those brazen type of retail thefts. We also have seen an increase in domestic disputes, and I think that's a direct correlation, Mr. Mayor, with the fact that we've had several weeks of stay-at-home orders from the government, and you've had numerous people out of work, children out of school, and being told to stay at home, and for the most part, the community has responded appropriately, but there are some negative effects that can come out of that we've had to deal with, and we've seen an increase in our domestic disputes across the board, possibly due to the family members and loved ones being in close proximity for long durations of time with little to no respite or relief from those situations. In reference to those, even going forward outside of the coronavirus, we would just encourage people, hey, when you feel that little bit of anger or frustration or whatever it is that's building up inside of you, take the mature step and walk away from the situation. Go out for a walk, go out for a bike ride, engage in something outside of that activity so that you can come back to that relationship and deal with things appropriately. We've also seen an increase in aggravated batteries, and as well as graffiti and gang-related graffiti. And those can be from a multitude of different issues. Everything from this time of year, normally we would see an uptick in some criminal activity with the break of the weather being here, and then as well as with a lot of frustrations and intensities that have been building around the limitations involving the coronavirus as well. We've also seen a handful of positive news events that have come out of the situation as well. We've seen a large amount of support for law enforcement and for first responders. And even prior to the coronavirus, Mr. Mayor, we've really felt that pendulum starting to swing back the way in the support of law enforcement. Here for the last probably year and a half, it's rare that our personnel are able to go to any retail establishment or restaurant or locality where someone is not thanking us for our service, and that says a lot about our community. It also says a lot about that pendulum starting to swing back toward the support of law enforcement and that type of thing as well. One of the other things that we've been involved in is the birthday and celebratory drive-bys, which initially, I probably had a little bit of reservation toward, but in reality, with having so many children out of school and them having that disconnect from that stability that they know as their friends that normally would celebrate with them, their teachers, their other mentors and support outside of their home, it was a great opportunity to start building some of those small relationships, some of those buy-ins from the public, from parents, from children, from loved ones to help celebrate their activity, their birthday, their graduation, or whatever it was that they were celebrating during that time. We've also seen businesses and organizations as well as individual people and families reaching out to law enforcement and saying, hey, how can I help? Or, hey, we'd like to provide a meal to your officers. Or we've even had businesses and organizations come to us and say, hey, what can we do as a partnership to help stimulate our economy as we start getting back to some sense of normalcy? And some of those partnerships are already in process and have been approved, and some we have yet to roll out. But we look forward to those partnerships and seeing our businesses within our community come back to life, for our community to gain a sense of normalcy gradually over time as well. So where does that put us now? Well, we're at the point now where we obviously need to get back to business as usual, where we need to get back to our high level of proactivity so that we can just continue to maintain the safe working and living environment to all our citizens of Belvidere and those that pass through. And so you'll be seeing us going back to our normal activities, including our traffic-related offenses, sending that consistent message to the criminal elements within our community, as well as those that come to our community to do criminal activity, that this is not the place to do that, as well as being able to finally, over the course of time, as we gain a sense of normalcy, to get back to building more of that relationship with the public. For the last several weeks, honestly, Mr. Mayor, it's been a little bit difficult, I think, for some of our personnel having to distance themselves from the public in some way, shape, or form. When our personnel are out there and they're wearing a mask, which doesn't really show their face and doesn't show the facial expression or anything like that, that might leave some of our customers with a sense of, I don't even know how that went with that officer. I don't even know if they even really cared about my situation, because I couldn't even see their facial expression. So we're looking forward to just getting back to a sense of normalcy that way, where we can start spending some extended time with our customers, as opposed to having to maintain a permanent social distance and not have that buy-in. And then we also are looking for a call to action, as I address and we address consistently some of the things that we've seen increasing in criminal activity. You got to remember that at any given time, there's a handful or two of Belvidere police officers on the street at any one time. And in a city of 25,000 people plus, the eyes and ears of our customers, the eyes and ears of our citizens here and the people that are passing through Belvidere, they're often more important than the eyes that we as our officers have. We depend on those phone calls, we depend on those connections, and oftentimes we find ourselves going to calls and we find that our customers sometimes apologize for calling us because they didn't want to inconvenience us. And we always tell them, no, it's never inconvenience. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're not, responding from our homes or anything like that. We're available, and we would much rather deal with the problem as it becomes an issue for you, as opposed to when it becomes a bigger problem down the road. Oftentimes we'll find that our customers say, I thought about calling you a couple of days ago, but I just didn't want to bother you. Well, it's never a bother. We're always available. Call us for anything you need. We can't always provide the level or the type of service, police service that we would like to provide, based on, policies, rules, laws, et cetera. But we will do the best possible job we can to start addressing whatever issue it is that you have to address in a way that is honoring to you, in a way that is honoring to the public, and in a way that's honoring to our community as well. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to thank our public support, as well as our individual officers. One of the things I've been very impressed with from our officers is that they have not responded negatively to this coronavirus in any way, shape, or form, with any regulations, restrictions, or guidance that our government has given them, or the directives that we've given our personnel. They have rolled with and adapt and overcome is what we say around the office often, and that's something that I think our community will do in this process as well. We will learn to adapt with the situation that we've been handed, and collectively and collaboratively with our business partners, we will overcome the situation also.
Well, thank you, Deputy Chief. I think it's important to note that our police force is always there. And we have been hampered to some degree by the fact that we are not housing people in the jail the way that we used to. We arrest people and then we let them go. That creates a challenge. But I also think that it's important to understand that when you see one of our ladies or gentlemen in blue, that they're there for you to communicate with. They will listen to what you have to say. They're there to help you through any difficult situation that you might find yourself in. At the same time, I think that our police officers feel that the community support behind them is maybe the second most important thing in their jobs. Because without feeling the support of our community, they kind of wonder, well, we're working so hard and we're putting ourselves out there every day. It's nice to know if you can say something nice to one of our police officers. I would encourage you to do that. I think a lot of you do, and I think it means the world to them. Because anecdotally, when I sit and chat with some of our patrol officers, invariably they'll say, I met a lady the other day. And they'll tell me a story, and it's a wonderful thing. Your participation in helping our community stay safe, excuse me, in helping our community stay safe is essential. So if you see something, say something. Senior citizens in our community are very engaged with our police officers. I had the pleasure last week of going around with our community service officer, Tim Blankenship, and visiting some of the senior residences. And to be honest with you, we do that when COVID wasn't here, and we go inside and have a meeting once a month. We had more people come outside with their masks on to talk to us and say how grateful they were that our police officers are keeping the community on a good level. So now that we are being able to relax, please remember, everybody's been a little tense with all of this thing. And now that people are going to be able to eat and drink in public, I think it's important that we all try to maintain a certain level of behavior as we work ourselves through this thing, because that will help us all out in the long run. But please remember, our police officers are here to help you, to be a friend, to be someone that you can rely on in any situation you find yourself. So, any final words that you'd like to contribute today, Deputy Chief?
No, thanks. Just thank you for this opportunity.
All right. Thank you for coming today. Well, that wraps it up for this morning. We would appreciate any comments that you have as you watch these on either YouTube or Channel 20, or you can find them on the front page of the Belvidere City website. Feedback is always a good thing, so until next time, be safe. Bye.